Pretty song for a pretty show. It's my day off. Aloha. Welcome back to Hawaii's Tomorrow. When I say it's my day off, it's because I don't have to look. Let's put it this way. I am the grandest experiment in radio history. Poor guy. Have you ever heard of a term called habit gone bad? I am the poor guy who started to try to sell a solar on Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning at 10 o'clock once a week, and ended up in this chair getting bombarded by TMI, too much information. Generically, it's not good in many respects, and it has brought out the reality of how our government's all screwed up, because there is no government, there are no nations, Mr. Beale, there's only corporations. And of course how our politics is so upside down and hamajang. And about how the world is being run for people who want to make money at the expense of people and dead people and dead people and dead people in war, etc. And here I am, getting slapped around with it. And every once in a while I get to do something fun. So today's the day I get to do something fun. I'm going to be introducing my guests in just a second. For those of you who just can't wait to hear what my show's about today, it's about stem cell applications, medical, and of course stem cell in general, stem cell research, stem cell, the future. Hawaii's tomorrow, the world's tomorrow. Before I go there, a couple things. Yesterday, thanks to my guests, both Paul Stanford and Paul von Hartmann, these guys are marijuana advocates, have been for years and years, and we were speaking about both Roger Christie and the fact that he's been held in a federal prison without bail for almost 3 years now, hasn't seen his wife besides once in court, couldn't say hi or touch him or talk to him in over a year, hasn't been let out, hasn't had friends go in for 2 pounds of pot, and of course he's been manufacturing marijuana. Now you tell me how you manufacture marijuana. I know they manufacture methamphetamine, but if they catch you with that, you're out on bail. Anyway, you should find out about this Roger Christie issue, and you will find out more and more about it. Bottom line, the other part of it, of course, the hemp issues. And it was very interesting, and my guest sitting across from me today, she heard the show, and surprised her as well. The guy was saying the informed jury and the, what's it called, the jury, how can I was talking about it all day. Well, you can just say no. That's funny. That's ironic. Just say no when it comes to someone on the court for marijuana. But bottom line is, if you're on a jury and you get in there and they let you become one of the jurors, and at the end of it all, you don't believe that the law is just, you just say no, and it's out. And we're going to be talking more about that. Why am I talking about that right now? Because it's important. We got this guy, Roger Christie, who's been hung up in prison for 3 years for pot. And just today, there was a article in the newspaper, and this is about the same issue. A federal judge, we're talking about Leslie Kobayashi, denied on March 29, the 63-year-old Roger Christie's request to dismiss his marijuana charges and to reclassify marijuana from other than a Schedule I drug. A Schedule I drug is including PCP, methamphetamines, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff that are really bad for you and have no medical. They have all kinds of criteria to be Schedule I. One of them is no medical. Applications.
Jury nullification was the word you were looking for.
Thanks for that. And that's it, jury nullification. And as I found out today from my guest tomorrow called me up, Brant Kelsey will be in on GMOs. She called me up to say that was used quite a bit in the old days when the Prohibition, when they had alcohol illegal, and the federal government was still trying to prosecute people for it, and the juries were just saying no. It's not. We're not gonna do this. You pick me for the jury, we're gonna let this guy go. And jury nullification. And you basically, according to this guy yesterday, Mr. Paul Stanford, and by the way, The views and opinions expressed on this show have nothing to do with Salem Media and Corporation. And the guy is saying, look, you get called for the jury, you go in there, you tell them what they want to hear, you don't let them know where you're coming from. When you go into sequestration and you're sitting back there after the whole trial and you're the jury's going to make a decision, you finally tell your fellow jurors, I don't believe in this, I'm voting for it, we might as well go home and get lunch now. Okay. Now, before I get to my guest, she's so patient, it's a wonderful thing. Here's a letter that came in, oh yeah, by the way. Anybody who can't figure out that marijuana has a medical use has to be working for a big pharmaceutical. And this woman's a judge. She cited a 1978 ruling. Lady, 2 states already legalized this stuff. They've got legal marijuana for medical in, 35, 17, I forget how many states, choke states, including Hawaii, where you are presiding. It's got positive benefits. It doesn't belong as a Schedule 1. To say the least, it belongs legal. I'm so tired of talking about this stupid, it's unimportant, it's uninteresting, and it's just a waste of time. Here we are discussing it. Like, by the way, since in 1963, it became legal for a white man to marry a black woman. Did you know that? Now, I'm talking to my guest, Carol Spangler. Carol Spangler Vaughn. Carol, aloha, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. It's great
Were
to be here.
you aware that it was only 1960s that it became interracial marriage became legal?
I was, in fact. My children are Hapa children. Their father is Japanese, so I am aware of that.
Well, you dirty white woman, you. You know what I'm saying? And then back in those days, there were people sitting back going, well, we can't have them. What will happen to their poor children? Or do your children suffer from a stigma?
Absolutely not. And here in Hawaii,
Are they cute?
They're adorable and they're brown and they fit in beautifully here.
And so here we are now doing the same thing with marijuana, and people's lives are being destroyed because of it. I mean, in those days you did something like that, you could be tar and feathered, you could be murdered, you could be tied to a cross and set on fire. You know, ladies and gentlemen, just accept it. We're stupid, okay? We're just stupid human beings. And I'm here trying to help you get an education, and guess who's the number one? I'm the winner. I'm the guy getting the education. In fact, could you please all turn your radios off? I'm just going to talk to Carol myself here. Get an education on stem cells. Before I do, again, here's a guy, Mr. Ray Matsuura. I'm looking for you, Ray. I called 411 and couldn't find you. You're from Waikiki and you wrote a letter. GMO letter was irresponsible. I cannot believe the Star Advertiser would print such an irresponsible letter from State Senator Russell Ruderman. Perils of GMO foods seem pretty obvious, he said. Perhaps this local politician should share his GMO observations with the scientists of the world. I'm sure they would appreciate his insight. Public comments like this without any rational scientific basis make one wonder how one can take the discussion seriously. Dude, you live in a box. You're stupid. You have no idea what's going on around you, do you? But you're pretty damn smart. But for some reason, you don't have your name in the newspaper, but I can fix that. You just call me at 554-7200, I'll let you get your story on the air. Because you're the scientists who will tell you this is good stuff all work for the GMO companies. You want to go find out something, Brock? Go figure out how to use a computer, turn it on, and go do some research, and then write your letter to the editor, instead of messing around with public opinion from your little high horse. And by the way, you get a hold of me, 554-7200. And I said I was going to have fun today.
Okay, the fun's coming.
All right, now I'm going to start having fun right now, I promise you. Dr. Carol Spangler Vaughn, PhD in biology from none other than Johns Hopkins University. MBA, Master's of Business Administration, is that right?
Correct.
From University of Washington. 20 years in healthcare for humans, that's in the lab.
In the lab and in business development.
Working for large and small companies. Biology experience in a corporation in Seattle called Dendreon.
Yep.
What's the big deal about that?
Dendreon's a great company. They have a prostate cancer vaccine, and what they do, it's cell therapy. So they take dendritic cells out of men. That's the most potent cell in the immune system. They charge it up with PSA antigen and put it back into the man. So you have this potent immune cell revved up specifically to go fight PSA. Which is
Where do I get some?
It's in clinics. It's
Sweet.
FDA approved and it's ready to go.
Okay, and now you're here in Hawaii. How long have you been in Hawaii?
Almost 2 years.
did you come here specifically for the topic we're about to discuss?
I did not. My husband, I'm a proud Coast Guard wife, so we came over here with the Coast Guard and fell in love with it, and so he's retiring this summer and we're staying.
Oh, wow. I do a lot of work with the Coasties.
Yeah, it's a great organization.
On the show here. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Now, let's let the cat out of the bag. Ha ha ha. All pun intended. Woof. This is about stem cell research and stem cell applications. You are a representative for what company? Tell us all about it.
So I work with MediVet, and we are a company where it's the largest veterinary stem cell company in the world. And we're in about 23 different countries, and we have a very new high-tech technology that allows you to do stem cell therapy on your pets right in the vet's clinic. So we don't have to ship to the mainland, and we're seeing great results in the animals, and we're making headway here in Hawaii, helping a lot of animals.
Okay, so you said it, kind of like that guy on my show yesterday. Don't tell the judge you're pro pop. You get on it. Okay, you said it, stem cell. And let's just do it right now. What was the problem with stem cells several years ago, and how has that problem been addressed?
That's a great question, Jeff. So initially, I think a lot of people still are stuck back in the Bush era where stem cells were from embryos. And there was a ban on that, lots of controversy. We don't need to talk about the controversy, it's pretty obvious. The bad things that slow down research, the good thing is it really forced the scientists to find stem cells in other places. So we now know that you can get adult stem cells from fat tissue. You can also get it from bone marrow and blood, but fat is a very good source of stem cells. So we take the fat out of the animal, we extract the stem cells in the vet clinic, and then we inject them back into the animal to help them get better.
Okay, again, in the era of the confrontation and the horror, or the kind of like a frenzy, a stem cell frenzy, because in some cases we had Christopher Reeve wanting to get jacked up right away, and that's what he was all about, how we're going to solve some of these major diseases by regeneration of your own body's organs by itself, by giving it the cosmic signal that says make this again, which exists in all of our stem cells.
Yep, correct. Your stem cells are very smart. They will find areas that are damaged or worn out, and they will replace the tissue. So we treat a lot of arthritis cases, and so what the stem cells do is it regenerates brand new cartilage, which makes the animal move better, and it takes the pain away. Okay,
so here's the story today. Carol Spangler Vaughn, she's here representing MediVet.
Mm-hmm.
But the real story today is obviously that this stem cell thing crept up on us, slapped us in the back of the head, and now that we can even get a glimpse of where we are today with it being applied to animals, which I can only imagine is because there weren't any animal who knew how to read a book and get a law degree to fight you on it. You know what I mean? If we tried to do the same thing today with humans, would it be involved as where it is with the animals?
Well, it actually is. There are some clinics in the U.S. that are doing exactly the same process that we're doing on the animals, where they're harvesting fat with liposuction, and they're doing a very, very similar process that we're doing, and then using that to help people with arthritis. So
Okay.
That is ongoing right now.
All right, here's a question. And by the way, we're going to be having a call in from a pet owner and from a vet who's doing this out of Topeka, Kansas in just a little bit. Okay, so again, you're the representative here, and you work with all the veterinarians, and I asked you what's going on with the zoo. Will it work at SeaWorld? Who's the lucky stiff that got Kentucky where they've got, I mean, for instance, you want to fix Vito's, little limp? Great, here's a couple grand. You want to fix the Kentucky Derby contenders, blah, blah? Here's $200,000.
Yeah, there's a lot of really exciting work with horses, and in fact, veterinary stem cell therapy really started in 2005, and the bulk of the initial work was all done on horses. So they are salvaging racehorses. It's very, very exciting.
Salvage them so that they may not race, but they will be able to reproduce.
Well, no, they're getting them back on the track again in some cases, yeah. So it's very exciting.
And then doesn't this just open up Pandora's box to the point where, and then who's to say where's the line to be drawn, kind of like Pete Rose or Lance Armstrong, making super animals by just a routine and just pumping them up with all this good stuff and turning them into more than a normal entity?
Well, you're not doing something above and beyond what should be there in the first place. So if you have an arthritic joint and you don't have cartilage anymore, by putting the cartilage back, you're just getting restored to the way you started. We're not giving you ultra cartilage to make you be, the
Well,
ultra
if you can restore the messed up one, that's only a step further to you give me an ultra one, correct?
I don't think stem
Can you
cells
give me
is
an
that.
ultra one, Kara?
An ultra.
I
No,
want an
stem
ultra
cells
one.
can't do that. Stem cells basically, it's your body, and your body knows how to heal itself. So with stem cell therapy, we're just getting the body to figure out how to heal itself by delivering stem cells right to the area that's damaged.
All right, so we kind of generically beat the bush on it. The bottom line is your medi vet comes, they take the fat out of the animal, they then culture those stem cells.
No, we do not culture. You don't want to culture stem cells. So
You say abracadabra over it. Basically, you spin it around and you do medical stuff to it until you've isolated the stem cells.
Yep, that's right. We isolate stem cells.
At the same time, you isolate platelets from the same animal from their blood.
Yep, we take a PRP sample, platelet-rich plasma. That's a term that professional athletes are using. We know from a lot of human research, there's a lot of human stem cell research, that stem cells, when they're in your fat, they're sleeping, they're dormant. So you need to do something to wake them up before you put them into the joints that need repair. So we add platelet-rich plasma sample because we know there's lots of research that backs that up. And then another thing that we do with our process is we subject that to 3 specific wavelengths of a laser light.
You know, they're scaring me when you say that because that is the keynote of whatchamacallit, what's it called, BS. Yeah, when they had all these, when we first came out with all these little lasers are going to fix you and cure you, and all the old folks like me were thinking, man, that's snake oil. Turns out it's not, okay?
Exactly. Your body
Turns
has a
out it's
lot
not.
of light receptors.
It turns out it's not, but here you guys are now. It's all coming. The science-fi is coming into reality.
It's absolutely
I
reality.
tell you what, let's see what a practicing veterinarian has to say about this, and we're talking here. And thank you, Dr. Larry Snyder, calling in. Aloha, you're in Kansas. Thanks for staying up and helping us educate. And that's a good way of looking at life. And let me ask you this: are you coming to Hawaii anytime soon?
No, actually, I don't think so. I'm afraid of water.
I'm trying to get him out here, though.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is, he's living in Kansas. What I want to do is help you write of course, you'll write the whole trip off, and you will be a guest on the show.
That'd be great. If
All
I
right,
make it out there, I'd enjoy it.
Okay, thanks again. Now, you are a veterinarian doctor, correct?
Yes, I am.
And it says right here, and congratulations, you are a stem cell expert.
Well, I don't know if I'm an expert. We've done over 100 animals now. So we've done quite a few.
Over 100. That doesn't sound like a lot to me. If this is, I see. It's hard to get people to pay for it.
Yeah, well, it's not an inexpensive procedure.
There you go.
Certainly, it's one to where I'd say probably all in all, most of the people that have had it done have been very pleased with the results. We just did yesterday we did a 4-pound, 16-year-old toy poodle. Back injury, not one of the arthritic. It had some spondylosis, some arthritis of the spine, but that was part of the problem. And we used the stem cells, and I think we'll have some pretty beneficial results. And we banked the stem cells, or we stored the stem cells. So hopefully we can give this little dog. Actually, it's a child replacement. So hopefully we can give the owners of it some added time.
Now listen, Doc, tell me the truth. You ever start messing around with this stuff after hours, maybe had a martini or two, and decide to cook yourself up a batch of your own stuff and see what you can come up with? Actually,
the thing is, it's Dr. Mike Hutchison, who's one of the first ones, said, yeah, he was a baseball player when he was in high school, and if his knees start giving him problems, he said he's got the technology, he has the knowledge, and wouldn't surprise me he'd try it, although I think I'm not quite that brave. But certainly if I have the need and I have a source that I can go to have the procedure done here in the States, I'd be more than happy to. I would not have any problems at all. Because you'd basically be Dr. Heck or Dr. Hyde, or if you were to start doing that junk on the backside, correct? Well, I can practice on any species except one. Okay, now human. You've been hundreds of them. What's the greatest success story that you've seen on this? Actually, probably autoimmune polyarthritis, which is the equivalent to rheumatoid arthritis in people. a little 4-year-old Newfoundland named Marion that had polyarthritis, and this was diagnosed at the University of Kansas State University on prednisone, on Rimadyl, which is an anti-inflammatory. Very little response. In fact, she was having a lot of negative effects from the use of the prednisone. Hair coat was completely gone. We did 1 dose of stem cells IV on this dog, and within 6 days, the coat's beginning to clear up. The skin's cleared up because the skin was red, irritated. The skin's clearing up. The dog we gave a second dose to 17 months later, and the dog is now out close to 2 years, or maybe just a little over 2 years since we did her. Doing very well. I think the people feel that it's well worth the money that they spent. Arthritis is on a lot of animals. The first dog we did in Kansas, Sherman, is now 13 going on 14 years old. He was an old dog when we did him close to 3 years ago, and now he's a younger dog. The owner reports that he's now more of a pain in their butt because he's always between them and the cookie jar, always wanting more cookies.
Let me ask you two doctors, have either of you seen breakthroughs in medical science that started with animals? I'm under the impression that people are focused on humans and that this stuff bleeds down. But somehow we are having a discussion here about how to stop arthritis and all these very common plaguing diseases on cats and dogs or whatnot. But why haven't I seen the same thing on the human side of it?
Actually, it's out there. In fact, most of the research that we're talking about, most of the research that was done on humans first, and then came down to dogs and cats. So we're actually using technology that was developed for humans. You go around the world.
How come I've got a show about the dogs and not about the humans yet? Where's, for instance, are you personally, do you know Carol?
I have talked to Carol before. Yes.
Okay, now, Carol, is there anywhere here in Hawaii that I can go get jacked up with some of my own stem cells just for fun?
I'm not aware of any clinical trials that are going on here, so I don't.
Have you gone out and tried to fix a joint or an ache or a pain or a chronic something on your own body?
I haven't, but I don't have one yet, knock on wood.
Oh, shut up. You don't have a single one of those things I'm getting old thing?
Not quite
Okay,
yet.
how about you, Dr. Larry? You're not here in front of me. You can tell me how old you are.
No, heck, I'm over 60. So
have you gone out and found a human stem cell
actually,
hospital?
I'm working with a physician right now in Topeka. We're going to try to work through the legal things as far as the FDA, as far as trying to get stem cell use right here in Kansas. You can go to Florida and get stem cell therapy in Florida. There are probably close to 200 clinics in the U.S. that are doing stem cell work now.
How many of those started off being described as charlatans and fakes? All of them?
I don't think all of them, because
their clients were, Kobe Bryant, and
yes,
they had
there you go.
big.
There you go.
Is that right?
Well, I think one of the things, too, the clinic he's referring to in Florida, the head doctor is an orthopedic surgeon who came from Georgetown University. So there's people that are involved in this that have credentials, and they're not trying to oversell this. If you look at a website and they promise to treat every single thing that could possibly be wrong with you, then you have to say, this doesn't sound right. But this particular clinic in Florida only does orthopedic conditions, which is what we know we can fix in animals.
All right, let's review. Is it the same? I presume it's the same theory. You take fat so that you've got the stem cells. You separate your stem cells. You clean them up as much as you can without damaging them.
Yeah.
You combine them with this concoction of platelets that you've condensed and also cleaned up, and then you force the platelets to do what they do. It turns out they're little miracle workers. They stop your body from bleeding, and they inside their little bloody little platelet lives. They've got all the information on how to make your body rejuvenate itself. Is that right?
Actually, you're using the platelets. You're rupturing the platelets. You're using the chemical stew, these chemokines that are in these platelets that actually do the work. They're actually the cell signals. They tell the cell, or they talk to the cell. Cells are in communication all the time. The cells that are if you've got arthritis in your knee, the cells in your knee in that injured area are telling the rest of the body that it's injured and it needs help. These stem cells and the platelets, these platelet factors, these chemokines, are going to that area, and the first thing they do is just reduce the inflammation, dramatic reduction in the inflammation.
Now, here's the scoop. You take a little puppy or an old puppy and you do stuff to it, and you're going to try and determine if it's feeling better. Well, they can't talk.
Yep.
So why not take my mom now? She's 82 years old. She's got all this arthritis. They don't know what's wrong. She's got immune issues. Her body's not... She needs help. How come my mom isn't getting a dose of this as I speak?
A lot of people are asking that question. Right now, she can go to Australia. She can go to the Philippines. She can go to China.
Why can't she go to Florida?
Hey, that would be if she's got arthritis, and Dr. Parita down in Florida would be an excellent source.
And they're going to go get some fat.
Yep.
Culture it up.
No, culture.
How did I get
culture.
this culture word
I don't
off
know.
the internet, I guess? So get the kind, separate the stem cell. And then is more better? For instance, should I start eating donuts and ice cream in my preparation so that I will have more fat?
Actually, they're using 40 grams in most of the kits that we're using. It's not so much the amount of fat, it's the number of stem cells within that fat. We're squeezing, using the technology, the MediVet technology that we're using right now, we're squeezing all of these stem cells, all of these factors, all of this stromal vascular fraction that we call it, out of this fat. That's what we're using. It's a number of cells. We're getting some collections where we're getting 5 and 6 billion stem cells.
Well, if 5 billion is good, is 10 billion better?
Probably. We store a lot of that, so we've got multiple.
Again,
treatments.
guys, explain this to me. Can you just go get one massive dose of it and come out, looking 10 years younger? Or do you just jack yourself up with a needle here and there for the next 5 years, once a month?
It's like there are some people who are saying massive doses are better for some conditions, and once again, it depends on the condition, and it depends on how many times we want to do it. You talk to some of the Dr. Parita that worked on Bartolo Colon and some of the other pitchers is talking about he feels it would be better for these pitchers to be treated with stem cells just after they get through with the season so that their joints, their shoulders have time to heal before the next year. He thinks he could head off a lot of these shoulder injuries in pitchers by taking and treating.
Here's a question. Does it have to be your stem cells in order? Because apparently not, because they were using fetus stem cells initially.
They can. The thing is, safety-wise, if you're using someone else's, there's always a chance of reaction. Stem cells do have a bit of an antigenic privilege. They aren't as antigenic as some cells, but when we use our own cells, we don't have to worry. And across the research around the world, very, very, very few reactions using your own stem cells or using these healing cells from ourselves.
And again, we're hearing from Dr. Larry Snyder. He's calling in from Topeka, Kansas, from his animal clinic there, and he's treated over 100 animals with the MediVet stem cell pack. And with me in the studio, Dr. Carol Spangler, and she is the MediVet rep here in Hawaii. And then I presume that let's see, then the doc, you do this every day. So somebody comes in and their pet's got issues. Let's say they haven't heard about this from someone else, and they just come through the door and you go, well, by the way, we don't have to do invasive surgery. We can do this little, whatchamacallit, we don't have to put Fido to sleep.
Right.
And let's not make a joke about that. I mean, these are living creatures.
Yes.
Some people consider that just as important as their children.
Yes.
If not more.
Some more. Yes.
And then Carol said that she liked animals better than humans. Did you know that?
Well, sometimes.
I can believe sometimes they deserve more.
Okay.
Yes.
So the bottom line, I presume there's a little disclaimer that somebody has to sign right away that says if anything happens to your puppy because of what we're doing, you can't sue us. Is that correct?
Nope, we're using it within the license, which is we can use it for muscle, tendon, ligament, arthritic change. The other things like when we're using it for polyarthritis, that's a compassionate use, and in those cases there is a release on those.
Right.
But when we're using it within the context of its licensing, like any other procedure that you'd have done at your veterinarian.
Well, I got to tell you, I feel your pain, Carol, because you got people like me just looking for charlatans left and right, okay? Because they're always trying to sell us something.
Just bark a little bit. She'll be with you.
Yeah, there you go. But I think now we've been doing so many animals that it's easy to find people who've had this done. I mean, our company has treated thousands of animals, and we have, clinics in 23 countries. So, just looking a little into doing a little research, you will find out that Medivet is not a goofy company. I mean, we're doing real science
you
and real
could say
medicine.
the same thing about Scientology. They're all over the world. There's a lot of people think they're pretty much goofy.
Well, this is
In
easy.
fact, the doctor's laughing as I go.
Yeah.
Again,
we're not movie stars. So
But all you need to do is take a look at a dog, right? We have all these videotapes of before pictures where these poor dogs can't even stand up to go outside anymore and go she-she.
Is that right?
And then 3 weeks later, they can go out. You just look at
and
some
again,
before and
that
afters.
brings up my little alarm bells ring, because why the dog? Why not the human? I don't get it. Help me with this. I mean, I think it's fantastic, and to tell you the truth, I'm inclined to believe it. For all the right reasons, for the facts that you've laid out, Carol, that this is established, that it's in the countries, for the fact that I've been reading on this science for years and years, for the fact that, you learn something new every day, and then I just can't see people foisting this off on veterinarians who are doctors, let alone on the clients who pay them $2,000-$3,000 for the procedure and it not working. But then my big question always has to come back. What makes me quote unquote still suspicious or not a true believer is the work hasn't been doing on humans.
Well, okay, so back up a little bit on that.
Picking on the ones who can't speak for themselves.
Well,
so to speak.
right now there's around 2,000 open human clinical trials going on in the U.S. on stem cells. They're looking at all kinds of things: Parkinson's, diabetes. There's a lot of research. They're making skin for burn victims. Great story that is currently in the news was this little girl who she has a new trachea now.
No, okay. Bottom line, it's science and it's happening.
It's happening. The Nobel
Say
Prize.
what you want at it, throw rocks at it. It's still, and there's nothing stopping this from continuing because, like you were mentioning, a trachea formed on a model trachea, and the stem cells grow around it and give this little baby a trachea.
She can now eat.
Yeah,
She
this
got
is
to
not
eat some candy.
snake oil, say the least.
No, it is not snake oil.
Yep.
It's not magic, but it's really close and it's really cool. It's good stuff.
But again, Doc, how can you explain the fact that we're not
Actually,
we
we don't.
vets and doctors' offices instead of veterinarian offices?
Yeah, we don't. The patients tell us. I mean, it doesn't take like Carol was talking about. You see these dogs that can barely walk, and after we do this, now they're up walking. I do horses. We do some horses. These horses can barely walk. They've got laminitis. We're doing a laminitis study or a founder study right now, and within 2 days, these horses are up, acting so much better, and we've got proof in the form of venograms, or we're looking at the blood flow in the feet of these horses.
And then
It's
again,
amazing.
that brought me back to my question: how come neither of you have run out to Florida and tried to get jacked up to do something special?
As soon as I need it, I'm going to be heading somewhere.
I
I'll tell
would
you.
too, absolutely. And my son plays baseball, my daughter does ballet, and I'm not so worried about them because when they have trouble, I can hook them up with stem cells.
Do you wear glasses, Dr. Snyder?
No, I don't.
How about you, Carol?
I wear contacts.
Now, why haven't you gone out and got your eyes jacked up and fixed that to start with?
There's a lot of really exciting human studies on that. They're looking at, some glaucoma studies.
This is amazing.
There's a little
I'm glad you came in here. Let's thank Janet Schaefer right now from Monomeans for hooking me up.
There's a great story about a little 22-month-old child that was born with a problem with the optic nerve wasn't developing, and it was only like 25% of where it should be. And this family fundraised, and they went to China last summer, and it's now developing. And this little kid who really couldn't see anything